So with Prime finished, it's time to move on to Megatron, and I didn't like the colors the RID Megatron had. It was like a weird, almost like a beige instead of the brushed on silver look he's got in the show, so I decided to just repaint him fully. There are some other issues I have with this figure, like I think the head is too small, the head likeness isn't that great, and the fusion cannon is too big, but these are all things I'm gonna be working on, so hope you enjoy. So I have clay on the head now because I decided to resculpt it, so I have nothing to do, so let's do a little bit of body work, shall we? So let's start off with the main, with the under torso bit. So Megatron's like inner armor is sort of dark grey, and then his outer armor is very much like a silvery grey. So I'll just do like a rough coat of this Vallejo gunmetal I painted Prime with. So I thought about hand painting the entire thing, and as you can see I already got started, but then I sort of realized that I am using way too much paint on this, so I'm just gonna... I grabbed some like gunmetal spray paint I had laying around, and I'm just gonna go over him. So here is good old Megatron just spray painted into like a gunmetal grey. So now we're going to do the lighter bits, which is surprisingly hard considering Megatron is in perpetual shadowy evilness for the majority of the show. So I don't actually know which parts are supposed to be lighter, but I know for a fact that this bit here, that these armor plates here engulf, they're supposed to be this is supposed to be dark, and this is supposed to be like a light silver. I really like this texture the entire figure has. There's like sculpted in grooves. It sort of looks like brushed metal. It's a really cool effect. Don't really know how much difference this makes. I don't know, guys, can we see a difference? Okay, so I'm not really happy with the contrast here. I think these bits should be way lighter. I think the color here is alright, but I mixed some white into the silver I use, and ooh. This is exactly what I needed. Yeah, there we go. There's the contrast I was missing. Using a noticeably larger brush this time, so gotta be a bit careful. So between the colors of metal and even darker metal, Megatron actually has a few purple highlights. So I mixed some Vallejo hexed lichen, and I added some silver to it to get a little, like a faint metallic tint. Furthermore, his forearm bits here are also purple. Okay, so quick updates. Down here is actually a dark gunmetal, so I'm just gonna paint these bits here. So I'm sort of making this up as I go here, but these bits here are supposed to be purple, but on the figure itself they're connected to the main torso. So I'm just gonna have to like hide where the purple starts. Then the armor pieces are gonna cover like up this straight line. And now we just close this up and voila. Can't even see it. Oh yeah, he also has, he's got these bits here are purple. I almost forgot about this. So let's do a little dry brush just to get rid of all this factory looking paint job on Megatron. So before we forget, we're also gonna do a little shade of Nuln oil just to darken a couple of bits. Like, I want these lines here darker, for instance. And it's fine that those areas are, like, you can see that they've been washed, because I'm gonna dry brush those bits later on. I guess we can give these bits here a wash as well. And while we impatiently wait for that to dry, we can do a little more detail work. So there's these bits here. I want to be a little bit more exact with these things here, so that's why I'm not using a paint wash. Okay, so here is Megatron completed, and I am really excited to talk about this because, as you can see, well, as you probably saw in the video, he's fully repainted, and also his face is resculpted, because I didn't really like the toothy, angry Ninja Turtles type expression. He does show off his teeth quite a lot in the show, but there's this one screen cap that I'm sort of obsessed with, where he just looks so freaking cool. So I resculpted it, and I tried to emulate that, and I hope I did like a decent enough job at it. I also painted his eyes in there. It's a bit hard to see, but yeah, okay, so it's not as perfect as I would like, because the eyes actually, they are sculpted in there, but they're not really, the eyes aren't really sculpted into good positions. Like, he's not looking straight forward if I were to follow the sculpt, like, to perfection. Yeah, so I had to improvise with the paint a little bit. I painted all the little weird skeletal lines on his face. I think that turned out really good. It also hides how I like the seam line for the sculpting. I also I obviously covered it in this Vallejo gunmetal as well, but I am really happy with how this turned out. I like it way more than the original head. It also fixes a slight proportion issue I had with the original head, where I thought the face bit was a bit too square. As I just imagined him, if he was to close his mouth, the head would just be like really tiny. So this fixes like a slight proportion issue I had. But yeah, did quite a lot of shading. And then I painted the actual helmet a way lighter silver color to make the face stand out a bit more. Some people have complained about the kibble on this guy, and I think like the instructions tell you to have the kibble down like this, so just the shoulder pads show, but this is Megatron, he doesn't give a crap about being subtle, so I just raised them up here to, they're almost like part of the shoulder pads, and you know, he doesn't care about disguising himself, he just wants to be in your face and shoot you. The fusion cannon is another thing I did. So originally this thing here was an action feature that you pushed it in, and then there were some swords that came out here that were really unsightly. But I screwed everything open and I just pushed this in permanently, glued it in, and then I repainted the entire thing to a purple, and then I just dry brushed some silver on top of it to make it look a bit metallic. It's a bit big in comparison to the actual show model, but also this is Megatron, so I don't really mind it all that much. The way I see it, if Megatron could choose a gun, he would pick the biggest one, because it would obviously make things go boom the hardest. So yeah, I don't really mind it. I also did some modifications with this peg so it could sit closer to the actual arm. Speaking of the arms, the forearms are repainted with the same purple. It's this really nice hexed lichen Vallejo paint I used, and then I dry brushed silver on top of it. I tried to be as accurate as I could with like the different shades of silver. Like I know these bits here are darker, and then these bits here are lighter. Same with this bit here, darker, and there's some more of that purple in there, darker up here. More purple paintwork here. I wanted to keep this dark, and then the majority of the legs just silver. Some nice dry brushing here as well to make it look a bit worn. He's a bit gappy here in the back, but there's nothing you can really do about it. I don't know if there's a third party who's come up with like some cover-ups, but oh well. Another thing is, normally he's shorter than the first edition Optimus Prime here, but it's not really all that much. But what I usually do is I take the feet and I just angle them a bit like this. Like this, and ta-da, he is suddenly taller than Optimus. I think that works out fine. Megatron in the show isn't actually quite... like, he is bigger than Prime, but not like absurdly so. But yeah, Megatron. Hope you enjoyed the video.
You and your beast would do well to remember, I hone my skills in the pits of Chaos! Oh, it will be a miracle, all right, Starscream, if you survive what I have planned for you. A glorious leader! Decepticon!